Sometimes Vegas gives you a line for a game, and you do one of these. For those on podcasts, I'm scratching my head. And you go, huh. You almost feel like a cartoon character. You're just wondering, why is that line? This makes no sense. NC State wasn't any good. I don't think they're a great football team. Georgia Tech's undefeated, ranked inside the top 10. Why is this line only 5.5? The last time that I saw this in the ACC, it was Florida State in the top 10 on the road at Virginia. The Cavaliers, by the way, red hot. Good vibes for the Virginia Cavaliers because they've won 7 in a row for the first time, I think, basically in my life as a college football fan or something close to it. Because for those watching on YouTube, you can see I'm not very old. So Virginia is still undefeated in ACC play. The same can't be said for Georgia Tech. They lose to NC State, and this was one of those lines. Why didn't I make it one of my best bets? I don't know, because everything was there on paper for Georgia Tech to at least have to keep it close. They lose their first game of the year. Now, I don't think this should remove Georgia Tech from the playoff discussion, the at-large conversation outright. It throws a wrench into things in the ACC. Going into last week, you had Virginia and Georgia Tech unbeaten playing on the road. Georgia Tech loses. Virginia almost did, but was able to hold on for a 31-21 win against Cal. And boy, the Bears just feel a little lifeless at the moment. There could be another Power 4 job available if things continue to spiral in Berkeley. But do you realize that the Virginia Cavaliers are the only undefeated ACC team in the conference right now? And right behind them is just a mountain of chaos. Because you have Georgia Tech at 5-1. Overall records matter not. You have Pitt at 5-1. Do you know the last time that I talked about Pitt here on the show? I remember it very well. It was the backyard brawl, which feels like a lifetime ago. It was also one quarterback change ago. Things have gone well for Coach Narduzzi and the Panthers in that regard. But Pitt is sitting there at 5-1 in ACC play. And the last time I talked about them, I said, yeah, I don't think they're winning big against West Virginia. Take the point. And West Virginia beat them. Huge moment for Rich Rodriguez in that particular game in his first year in Morgantown. And Rich Rodriguez, I think, is going to be just fine going forward for whatever it's worth. But that's the last time Pitt came up. Here they are, 5-1. The ACC, like the SEC, and thankfully we won't have this after this season, only plays 8 conference games. Georgia Tech and Pitt have 2 conference games left, and they've both got 1 loss. Just throwing it out there. You've got Louisville at 4-1. You have SMU at 4-1 that sent Miami all but out of the picture for the ACC championship and probably the college football playoff. We'll see if they have that win over Notre Dame, which is holding up well over time. But Duke is also in the mix here at 4-1 because they had a crazy ending over the weekend on the road. They beat Clemson 46-45. Dabo Swinney was critical of officials and was fined for it. And I'm not going to get on here and opine about the call. I am going to opine about the fact that coaches can't criticize officiating because this is one of my biggest gripes with college football, of which there are several, which my everydayers know out there. I love the sport. It is great. It's crazy, and improvements need to be made. The inability for officials to be held publicly accountable for their actions, which impact lives, careers, millions of dollars, and whatnot, to me is patently absurd. It is completely and utterly ridiculous. But if you say something about it as a head coach and say, this is not okay, this is not good, you get fined. And the ACC comes out and says, we don't condone what Dabo Swinney just did. They are the most protected and coddled group of professionals I can ever remember. It's truly ridiculous to me. But anyway, that's a little bit of a sidebar. So that's the ACC outlook. Virginia undefeated. Georgia Tech 5-1, Pitt 5-1, Louisville 4-1, SMU 4-1, Duke 4-1. It is not out of the realm of possibility that there is a bid stealer in this conference. You could see it in the Big 12 as well. The SEC is starting to beat up on each other a little bit. And the discussion or debate about whether a 9-3 SEC team with the right schedule should get into the playoff is going to pop up. But that argument gets weaker if you have 2 teams with 11 or more wins that are not conference champions in the Big 12 and the ACC. They could be seen as what teams that go on a magical run in March for college basketball are, bid stealers. Because if they don't win and get the automatic berth, well, then they're not getting into the playoff. But then if you get the automatic berth, well, here you go. And that could knock somebody out. The ACC has every possibility. Now, there's still a good amount of football. We've got basically an entire month of November still to go. We have had but one Saturday in November. Rivalry week still has to show up. A lot still has to play out here. But the ACC, I think even more than the Big 12, is the chaos conference, because I see the Big 12 starting to separate a little bit. You've got BYU and Texas Tech at the top. You've got Utah a notch below them, but certainly playing good ball, who just absolutely blasted Cincinnati. I've got more thoughts on the Utes tomorrow on the show. But what a day for the Utes, man. Rice-Eccles at night. Every game should be at night at Rice-Eccles. It just hits different. That is just a phenomenal crowd. Utah sports fans, really good across the board. So, the ACC has such an ability. Louisville is still a one-loss team. Virginia is a one-loss team that lost their non-conference game to NC State. Might hurt their at-large resume, but again, we saw last year with Indiana, with SMU, even if the SEC homer crowd wants their 9-3 teams in over 11-1 or 11-2 Power 4 teams that have what they see as weaker schedules, the committee showed us last year they're not going to just acquiesce to the SEC's request. So Georgia Tech losing didn't surprise me in a major way. I didn't think they were going to go 12-0. I did think they would find a way to win this game because NC State is in this kind of in-between. Is Dave Doran going to stick around, or is he not sticking around? Are they a good team? Are they not a good team? Things just kind of go back and forth and get kind of wonky there. But Georgia Tech, if they wind up, think about the collision course that's being set up right now. Georgia Tech and Georgia. I mentioned this game, I think it was last week, maybe the week before here on the show. Georgia Tech, the last week of the regular season, rivalry week, could go to Athens. Or excuse me, I believe the game is in Atlanta. I might have that wrong off the top of my head. When they play Georgia the last week of the regular season, that could be a play-in game because the Yellow Jackets will be done. Their ACC championship game fate will be sealed. English is hard. But what if Georgia Tech loses again, misses the ACC title game? 10-2 with a win over Georgia? You can't leave that team out of the playoff. No way. I don't think that would happen. I'd hope it wouldn't happen. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself because I spent all offseason talking about this sport, and it's so great and it's awesome, and I can't wait for the season to come around. But man, the stakes of certain games in rivalry week could be really, really good. Really, really good.